Hello everyone, welcome back to your Eleanor, and this video we are going to explain Love Alert BL episode number 7. After what happened that night, To lay down on the sofa. Seeing his brother sleeping there, Tae asked why To wasn't sleeping in his room. Tae then realized that To had a high fever. His body was burning hot. Tae carried To to the bedroom and began taking care of him. Tae, who happened to be on a video call with Fa, said that from what he could see, To was truly broken up with Jimmy. Fa also said that his friend had seen Jimmy drinking nonstop the previous night. The two of them must have had a fight. Tae said that whenever Jimmy had problems, he always drowned his sadness in alcohol. Tae even prayed for Jimmy. Fa felt very sorry seeing what had happened to To. To Tae, there was nothing more he could do, because To never listened to him. To getting sick was the result of his own choices. Hearing what Tae and Fa said, To felt sad and turned his back on Tae. Tae added that he hoped this would be the last time. When To recovered and became better, he had to end everything with someone like Jimmy. Meanwhile, on campus, Jimmy was attacked by Tae. Tae was overwhelmed with anger. Jimmy's two friends tried to break up their fight. Tae asked what Jimmy had done to his brother. To was not Jimmy's toy. Jimmy instead accused To of causing the problem and starting the fight. Tae said that everything was because Jimmy was cruel. Jimmy had even abandoned To suffer. And now To was at home with a high fever. Everything was Jimmy's fault. Jimmy asked what had happened to To. Hearing the worry in Jimmy's voice, Tae explained that Jimmy had left To go home alone last night in heavy rain. No matter how bad their argument was, Jimmy should never have let him go like that. Fa arrived and told Tae to stop. Fa said that Tae had helped To enough. Now it was his turn to teach Jimmy a lesson. Fa then told everyone that he was in a relationship with Tae, and that he knew about the agreement Jimmy had made with Tae. As they could see, both sides had broken the rules. Tae was dating Fa, and Jimmy was dating To. But did Jimmy know the difference? Jimmy asked what difference. Fa answered that Tae loved him. This was not about winning or satisfying desire. It was very different from what Jimmy did to To. One more thing. Fa wanted Jimmy to stay away from To, because someone as good as To was far too good for Jimmy. Fa then took Tae away. Jimmy walked on, remembering what To had said the night before. He had asked what he meant to Jimmy, whether he was his partner or just a bed companion. Jimmy tried to contact To. To, who stayed silent, kept crying in his room. Seeing Jimmy's call, he ignored it. To couldn't stop thinking about what Jimmy had said the night before. He rejected Jimmy's calls and even blocked his number. Even though it hurt, To did it. When Jimmy realized his calls weren't being answered, he muttered that they would see who would be hurt more. On the opening day of To's cafe, Tae came with Fa. Fa also brought a bouquet of flowers as congratulations. Tae prayed that To's cafe would become a great success, and that he could be spoiled by his brother forever. To told Tae and Fa to sit, while he went to bring coffee for them. Tae told Fa that it was good for To to be busy. At least To had something to distract him from Jimmy. Fa agreed. He even offered to help by posting photos on social media. Tae and Fa were very happy to see To smiling. Fa started taking photos but noticed Tae's stiff poses. He teased him, saying they were taking pictures for fun, not for an ID card. Tae replied that he wasn't a model. Having a photographer who was also his boyfriend was very difficult. But Fa said Tay was wrong, because Tay was perfect to him. Tay smiled widely hearing that. To came back with coffee and cookies for both of them. Fa thanked him. But before that, Fa told Tay to take a photo of him with To. The two posed and took pictures. Then the three of them took photos together. They were having so much fun that To had to return to serving customers. It was Tay and Fa's turn to take photos together, while Fa was busy taking photos of the coffee. Tay instead took pictures of Fa while he worked. Meanwhile, Jimmy, who happened to be sitting with Sensei, saw Fa's social media posts. Jimmy muttered that To hadn't told him about the cafe opening. He started talking to Sensei, saying that if To was the one who started it, Jimmy wouldn't die over something like that. After all, their relationship was already over, and Jimmy didn't want to care anymore. Tay and Fa then left because they still had classes. If only they had more free time, Fa would have helped To until the cafe closed. For To, that was fine. He even thanked Fa. Tay said that the two of them would post the photos on their social media pages as soon as possible. When To checked the board in front of the cafe, he accidentally bumped into a customer. To almost fell but was lucky to be helped by a handsome, bespectacled customer named Freeze. To repeatedly apologized. Tay, who was still in the yard, asked if To was okay. To replied that he was fine and told Tay that he could leave. To apologized once again. He asked whether Freeze had come to drink coffee. Freeze answered yes. Seeing the closeness between the two of them, Fa smiled. At the campus canteen, Tay and Fa saw a student named Bank approaching Jimmy. Bank came to ask for Jimmy's contact information, because he heard that Jimmy was currently single. Jimmy turned around and saw Tay and Fa. He immediately acted sweet and said that he was indeed single now and open to getting to know someone. Fa, who saw this, actually smiled at Jimmy's behavior. He then loudly said that To had a kind of magnet. Did Tay see that customer who came earlier? While giving a signal to Tay, Fa added that it seemed the customer was focused only on To. Tay also agreed that the customer who bumped into To earlier was on a higher level. He seemed very warm, friendly, and smart as well. Not wanting to lose, Jimmy asked Bank if he had time tonight. He wanted to invite him over to his place. Bank agreed, and Jimmy could send him the address. Meanwhile, Fa, feeling fed up, asked Tay to leave with him. After they left, Jimmy, feeling curious, wondered whether To was running a cafe or a dating agency. At the cafe, To served coffee to Freeze. He said to consider it an apology for earlier. Freeze asked whether To wanted him to stay awake all night. Besides that, he had heard To's sibling earlier. Freeze and To then began to get to know each other. Freeze said that he was a dentist. He worked at a hospital not far from To's cafe. To should not hesitate to drop by sometime for a checkup. Seeing the drawing on the coffee cup, Freeze asked whether To had drawn it himself. To Freeze, To was very talented and the drawing was very cute. To said yes, he was the one who drew it. He planned to draw on every customer's coffee cup. However, since today was the first day, things were a bit chaotic. And the drawing on Freeze's cup was the first one he made. Hearing that, Freeze felt honored. And the coffee was very delicious as well. To thanked him for the compliment. One of the employees came to To and asked how to order ice, because their stock had run out. To then left with his employee. That night, Jimmy went home with Bank. They sat together. Seeing that Jimmy looked sore, Bank took the initiative on his own. He immediately sat on Jimmy's lap. Bank began teasing Jimmy. But Jimmy quickly realized and said that Bank's perfume was too strong. And that today he was not in a good mood. Bank was annoyed to hear that. And said that Jimmy should not have called him. Jimmy had wasted his time. Jimmy apologized for that. He said that he was not usually like this. Bank chose to leave. Jimmy then began talking to his beloved cat. He said that his mother, who was none other than Toe, was begging him. And Jimmy was ready to take him back. Looking at Sensei, Jimmy thought about whether he himself was actually at fault. Sensei had to know that Jimmy was never wrong. And that he never begged anyone first. Sensei was his child. So he had to be on his side. At the cafe, when Toe was checking the sales results for the day. While looking for something, he accidentally found Sensei's food in his bag. Toe then remembered when he was looking for something before. Jimmy asked what Toe was looking for. Toe said he was looking for snacks for Sensei. Jimmy said that he had forgotten to buy them. Toe replied that he would go buy them. Jimmy felt that Toe really loved Sensei. For Toe, he had to love Sensei and his father as well. Jimmy did not believe it until Toe kissed him. Toe then kissed Jimmy. And wanted Jimmy to believe him. Toe murmured that if he wanted to stop the pain, then he had to end it. Toe apologized to Sensei. The next day, Jimmy was seen hiding around Toe's cafe. Seeing someone wearing glasses, Jimmy felt that this was the person Tay and Fa had talked about. Jimmy wondered what he should do. He tried to think of a plan. Meanwhile, Toe served coffee to Freeze. Freeze then gave Toe a flyer for an art exhibition. Coincidentally, one of his patients had given it to him. If Toe had free time, he could let Freeze know. Because Freeze was looking for someone to go with. Toe replied that he was not sure if he had free time. Freeze understood because during the cafe opening, Toe must be very busy. Freeze then asked for Toe's contact information. If both of their schedules were free, they could go together. Toe agreed and gave it to him. In the middle of their conversation, one of the customers there overheard them. It turned out to be someone hired by Jimmy. He immediately left. Jimmy asked what Toe and the bespectacled man were talking about. The man reported that Freeze was a dentist. The two of them then exchanged numbers. And anyone who saw it would surely know that Freeze was pursuing Toe. Freeze even made an excuse using the art exhibition flyer, with the intention of going together. And Toe simply agreed. Jimmy then asked for the QR code to pay that person. Besides that, he also asked for a cup of coffee with a drawing made by Toe. Seeing the drawing on the coffee cup, Jimmy smiled. At home, Jimmy kept thinking hard about Freeze's closeness with Toe. Jimmy told Sensei that there was someone flirting with his mother. He was a dentist. Could Jimmy compete with him? Jimmy then remembered his last argument with Toe. Meanwhile, Fa, who heard the story from Toe, supported Toe having a relationship with Freeze. Tay felt the same way. Because from what they could see, Freeze was polite, warm, and also had a stable career. Tay was confident that Freeze could take good care of Toe. Seeing the two of them, Toe wanted them to stop talking. After all, Freeze had not done anything. Tay knew that as well. However, the excuse of the art exhibition flyer alone already showed that Freeze wanted to ask Toe out. To Fa, Toe was too naive. Because if Freeze were not interested, he would not show up for 2 days in a row. Fa reminded them that tomorrow Freeze would come there again. To explained that Freeze was just a customer stopping by to drink coffee. Fa asked why, with so many cafes around. Freeze had to choose To's cafe. Tay agreed. And To's older brother had to open his heart a little. Or was To still waiting for Jimmy? Hearing Jimmy's name, To chose to go back to work instead. Tay and Fa only exchanged smiles as they watched him. To took the potted plant from Jimmy and placed it in front of the cafe. When he saw Jimmy's picture, To became sad again. At Tay's house, Fa said that To needed to spend time with Freeze. That way, the two of them could grow closer. Because when all ties with Jimmy truly ended, then it was really over. To did look fine, but he could also be stubborn. To Tay, Fa was indeed right. When he mentioned Jimmy's name earlier, To had only stared at him. And maybe this time there would be no going back. Fa would be very happy if that were true. He was just waiting for the day when To would go on a date with Freeze. Fa would post it so that Jimmy could see it. Tay said that Fa was quite cruel. Fa looked around. And then immediately sat on Tay's lap. The two of them then kissed each other. Meanwhile, that night, Jimmy was at a bar. He drank a lot and looked frustrated. When someone approached him, Jimmy rejected him. Because he already had a lover. But now they had broken up, and To did not want to come back. The scene from episode 1 repeated itself. Jimmy had to fix things immediately. When Jimmy was attacked by someone and Tay helped him, Jimmy kept calling To's name. When Tay wanted to take him home, Jimmy refused because he did not want to go back. He wanted to go and beg To. Because since he broke up with To, Jimmy had always missed him. Jimmy missed him every night. If he could turn back time, Jimmy would do everything better. Jimmy would not disappoint him. And Tay had to help him. Seeing Jimmy's condition, Tay took him home. Tay laid Jimmy down on the sofa. Coincidentally, To had just come home and saw Jimmy. He did not want to care and immediately went into his room. Tay apologized for bringing Jimmy back to their house. Tay explained that Jimmy had almost been beaten up. To only replied that after Jimmy woke up, Tay had to tell him to leave immediately. Because To did not want to see Jimmy's face. Tay also said that he had never seen Jimmy in such a bad condition before. To said he was just going to sleep. Because tomorrow he had to open the cafe early. Tay muttered that if To ended up getting angry at him, Jimmy would be finished. Jimmy felt that To was helping him wipe his face. Jimmy was very happy because To still cared. Jimmy even promised that he would never hurt To again. However, To replied that Jimmy was already too late. To left Jimmy behind. And it turned out that it was only Jimmy's dream. Looking around and realizing that he was in To's house. With great difficulty, Jimmy tried to get up. That's all for this part. See you in the next episode 8. Thank you for watching and then have a nice day.